Hi, guy. Hey, to my fellow Snyder bros, to my fellow Snyder fans. Hi again. Yeah, you're wondering why am I in a closet to do this video? Well, it's simple. I have neighbors next door in my apartment. I don't want to make any noise that would rattle them because since yesterday and the day before, I been something's been really bugging me, as it has been about about everything as it has bothered everyone else. This controversy that's been going on since 2013 that had left people divided. Clearly, today I like to talk about this excuse people have of not wanting to see a live-action Superman versus Brainiac movie right away over this excuse of wanting Superman to be a perfect representation of hope. But really, no one's perfect. I mean, this issue with the studio has been going on since the 80s, and now here we are, divided not just by the oligarchs and the studio of Warner Brothers, but also by those who are putting up this narrative of wanting to see Superman, about this aspect of Superman representing hope. Look, Superman represents hope by being good and irresponsible, not just by doing what he does in the comics or in how he started out as in Richard Donner's movies. And speaking of Richard Donner, with everything that Gunn said about Superman Legacy being inspired by Donner, yeah, that's what really bothers me. Is not just the comedy, but mainly the quick pick on the villain being Lex Luthor. Because really, it just shows just how studios like WB lack patience. Why they're always so disorganized all the time. And while it's unclear whether we'll be entering this phase of central bank digital currency, and whether or not Tennessee, Texas, and other conservative Republican leading states are going to take action on banning digital currency, heck, Indiana and Montana need to step it up if they want to preserve the balance of financial currency in this country. Because sure enough, Florida already has. But that's another thing I'm going to discuss. Because tonight I want to discuss how some people online, especially on YouTube, not only act like they don't give an F about Brainiac by giving everybody their excuse about wanting Superman to be a perfect representation of hope. But for God's sakes, no one's perfect. Not even Superman. And believe me, if you've seen Man of Steel, come on. Henry Cavill was the Superman we all deserved. He truly was. Clearly, some of you, either it's because some of you are bought out by BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and all these entities that have pushed WB into interfering with Zack's vision while he was in charge, and all the way up to now. Or you just, besides the grittiness of the movie, you guys just seem to have fragile minds or something. That you were not so comfortable. And yes, Henry's Superman was inspired by the character from Injustice. But I didn't mind that. I've seen his character in Man of Steel, act like a very responsible person who had to understand morals. And believe me, I've seen this the flashback of him being forced by his adopted father, Jonathan Kent, to let him get killed by the tornado and live with the pain of his loss. And it really is emotional. And to those who claim that there wasn't much humor in the movie, come on. Didn't you see him throw that truck, a guy's truck, onto a power line after being hit by people's food and stuff? That's humor. Also, he was being responsible person who was informing Lois to kill the story about him being special because of how people would reject him out of fear over how powerful he is as a god. And to those who are overwhelmed and bothered by how rough he was against Zod in the middle of the movie when taking him, Viora, Toran, and other Kryptonian soldiers on, and from Kim, as well as the excuse about him killing Zod, come on. He killed Zod not because he hated him or because he was afraid. He was trying to save those people that were in danger. And if you look back to the original movie, the second Superman movie with Christopher Reeves, that he actually killed Zod after having his life form changed from Kryptonian to normal human. He crushed his hand and dropped him. Come on, guys. While I know that my fellow Snyder fans understand me and my point of view, those who are complaining and bitching and moaning, wanting a Superman who is not Henry Cavill, who represents hope, come on. You act like you never paid proper attention to the Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, like your eyes and your brain were so cluttered with crap, load of shit in your mind. Pardon my language. And I don't mean to offend you guys, but really, it irritates me to see how regressive you guys are over what you want out of Superman, when all of this is just making it difficult to call out the studio Warner Brothers for the real problems we have with it managing the DC brand. And really, fans like me want to see a live-action Superman versus Brainiac movie. And I don't mind seeing Supergirl in it too, because that pitch of a movie was taken back from us a couple times since 1981 and 1982. And now you guys go coming up here and defending the studio's twisted habit of ripping us off. Come on. And to those of you who are against BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, how could you possibly choose this stupid narrative over how you view Cavill compared to what you want out of Gunn's Superman, when BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, the same investors who've got Bob Iger and his government poisoning both Disney company and its fellow assets, are the same ones who interfered with Zack, who caused WB to interfere with Zack's movies, going back to Dawn of Justice. He was looking to pitch. They were looking to pitch Man of Steel 2, which would have just featured Lex Luthor and Metallo, before these uncivilized executives got unhinged and forced him to use Batman and Doomsday and Wonder Woman. And believe me, Metallo is another villain that's been held back by Warner Brothers since the 80s as well, because the studio executives there are mentally deranged. And now you guys are, and to those of you who are giving me your crap about how you want Superman to be as a symbol of hope and not see that in Henry Cavill, you're no different from Warner Brothers and the big three who are destroying our movie and streaming industries in California. And I'm not kidding. And I'll be glad to give you my advice on how you're not going to be able to find that in reboots, but in continuation and progress of a same universe, even if it's one you don't like or you don't feel comfortable with. If you've seen the animated movie called Superman Unbound, which came out a month before Man of Steel, it features Superman teaming up with Supergirl against Brainiac to save their capital city of Kandor from him in his bioshell ship, along with other worlds that he has hijacked. From there, he acted like a more father-like figure and responsible adult around in the house. And that's what leaders, and he was brave, wise, and knew how to handle the situation. And as a mentor to Supergirl, and how he's managed to save Metropolis and other in Kandor, that's what being a symbol of hope is. Doing the right thing, listening to your gut and your heart and your morals, and making sure the people you love and care for, along with other innocent civilians around the world, are safe. That's what being a symbol of hope is. Not rebooting and debating with your bitching and moaning excuses of how you want Superman to act in a movie. You'll never find him in a reboot. You're never going to find that version that Christopher Reeve played in James Gunn's movie. Especially when we know that it's going to be a remake of 1978, which is a second remake of 1978 film. The first remake of that movie from the late 70s was 2006's Superman Returns. And people hated that movie because it didn't have Metallo or any news or any other Superman villain from the comics in it. It was like a parody of the original movie. And look, you need to, if you really want a live-action movie where Superman represents hope, you're not going to find it in Gunn's reboot. You need to find it in a non-origin story-based film with different villains like Brainiac and Metallo, where he does represent hope. I'll be sure to go down on some more on how we are to fix the situation. I'll be sure to explain more on how and why Brainiac needs to be the villain for the next Superman solo after Legacy. And I'm sure we do not want it being a Superman movie with Clark Kent being black, or any of the two black versions of Superman, Calvin Ellis or even Val Zod. Brainiac is Kal-El, Clark Kent's arch nemesis overall, because he is responsible for the destruction of his home world, aside from this new kind of villain they've got introduced in the Action Comics 1000. And now, you would find, trust me, an older Superman with him pitted against a different villain like Brainiac is precisely where you would find this Superman with that hope aspect you want to see out of him in a live-action movie. Don't keep giving me your crap. We are to restore the Snyderverse in every shape and form we can. Make sure it's all done in live-action movies, starting with Man of Steel 2, with Brainiac, Silver Banshee, Metallo, Supergirl, Superman, Cyborg Superman, and perhaps a Eradicator are in it. And that they don't go screwing up on the casting. That they make sure that either Cavill reprises his role as Superman or they get Wes Bentley to do him. And they are to have Daniel Craig, Anne Hathaway, Guy Pearce, and either Gerald Butler or Mike Coulter playing Brainiac, Silver Banshee, Cyborg, Superman, and Metallo. Eradicator, that should be up to them. I'll discuss it another time. For now, hashtag restore the Snyderverse, hashtag sell the Snyderverse to Netflix, hashtag revive Man of Steel 2 in live action with Brainiac.